Tonight, we gather to celebrate the stories and the spirit of the Bendigo Football Netball League. The philosophy of the Bendigo Football Netball League Hall of Fame is to recognise the very best individuals that have embodied football and netball in Bendigo, both on and off the field, since the official foundation of the league in 1880. The Bendigo Football Netball League has always built its community on the players, coaches, volunteers, supporters, officials and families whose dedication and impact have shaped the league's proud history. The contributions from these outstanding individuals exemplify excellence, commitment, and have had a lasting impact on the BFNL community. It is vital that we acknowledge the legacy of those who have helped build BFNL into the strong, respected competition it is today. So, as we share stories, reflect on history, and recognise excellence, let's enjoy a night filled with pride, gratitude, and admiration for the people who have helped make the Bendigo Football Netball League one of the strongest and most respected leagues in the state.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and distinguished guests, welcome to the Bendigo Football Netball League's Hall of Fame evening here at the All Seasons Hotel, where tonight we celebrate the induction of 10 new Hall of Fame members, players, administrators, umpires and journalists who have made a lasting impression across the competition for their commitment, their dedication and their legacies that they have created at their respective clubs, associations, employers and the BFNL as a whole. Tonight we recognise their outstanding contributions to the game and the people within it, on and off-field exploits, achievements both from a team and personal accolade perspectives, and a level of respect inherited by only a select few who go above and beyond in their chosen fields. Tonight we will also acknowledge 2 current Hall of Fame members who will now take their next step in becoming legends of the BFNL. Before we officially commence proceedings, I'll get the boring stuff out of the way, and that is the housekeeping. Firstly, I should introduce myself. My name is Betty Jones. Great honour to be your MC for this evening's event. I'd like to thank Tom King, BFNL manager, and all involved for the work they've put together for tonight's proceedings. As you can see from the table settings, your booklets as well, they have not spared an expense. It looks fantastic. So a round of applause for all involved with the BFNL putting together tonight. As I said, the boring stuff, the housekeeping, many of you have been to this venue, so are pretty familiar with where the toilets are scattered throughout the building, but of course probably most convenient just to the hallway over to my stage right. It's a non-smoking venue, almost goes without saying, but we still need to remind everyone, if you do wish to partake, just step to the designated areas outside the building. Obviously it's a night where we are celebrating, and we want to give those that are being recognised tonight the appropriate level of respect when they come up here to speak. So we do ask that we keep the noise to a minimum while that's happening. Also, just double check your phones, make sure that they are on silent. Plenty of snaps throughout the night, of course, photos and the like, but yeah, just double check because it does tend to catch at least one person out. And bar service tonight, obviously when you need to get your drinks topped up, again, we do ask that while there are people up here speaking, you try and refrain, but if you do desperately need to go and get yourself a drink, that's fine, just do so quietly. Shortly, I'll give you some more insight as to how the format of the evening will play out. But before that, we need to officially get tonight underway. And to do that, I would like to welcome to the lectern the Chair of the Bendigo Football League, in Carol McKinstry, to say a few words.
Welcome everyone, and particularly welcome to our living legend, Tony Bluey Salcombe. Other members of the Hall of Fame, club presidents, officials, and of course the people that we are inducting and elevating to legend status tonight. I'd like to start off firstly by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands. We're on Jarrah country, so I'd like to acknowledge the Dja-Dja-Wurrung people and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and any First Nations people with us tonight as well. This is, I suppose, one of the highlights of the year. We only hold these ceremonies every 5 years, and yeah, it's a big deal. It's a great honour to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and even obviously greater to be made a legend. I'd also like to thank members of the selection panels. In your booklets, they're outlined, and thank the work that they did. A lot of consideration, and they did us, I think, proud as far as coming up with the people to be inducted tonight. So I really would like to thank them for their hard work. As Ben has mentioned, also big thank you to Tom King for putting everything together, and particularly the flowers on the table. That was Tom's greatest challenge, he told me. We hope that you really enjoy the night, and here to celebrate the feats of some of the greats of our league over quite a period of time. So hopefully enjoy, and we'll get started. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Carol. Already mentioned by Carol is one of our attendees tonight, a man who has already been through this process, both the induction into the Hall of Fame and then the elevation as to a BFNL legend. That man barely needs an introduction. I'll give him one anyway. His name is Tony Bluey Southcombe, and he's going to come forward and say a few words.
Thanks very much, Benny, for the introduction. What a great night, and it's wonderful to see so many people here tonight. So I'll start by saying good evening, everybody, and welcome to the truly special nights on the Bendigo Football Netball League calendar. As someone who's been lucky enough to be part of this league since 1969, it's an honour to stand here and help open a night that celebrates the people who shaped our competition. The BFNL has always been built on more than just skill. It's been carried by leaders, characters, game breakers, volunteers and quiet achievers who lifted the clubs, inspired teammates and brought communities together. Tonight is particularly special because we're not only recognising 10 new Hall of Fame inductees, we're elevating 2 outstanding figures to the status of legend. This is the highest honour our league can bestow. It's reserved for individuals whose impact goes beyond premierships and accolades. It's about people who influenced, helped define errors and change what was possible in our game. Their stories are woven into the fabric of the BFNL, and their legacies continue to guide the generations who will follow. Tonight, we add new names to the Hall of Fame that already reads like the greatest hit albums of our league history. Each inductee has left their mark in a way that continues echoes through the generations coming through now. So thank you for joining us, thank you for supporting the league, and thank you for helping us celebrate the stories and the people who have made the BFNL what it is. Let's enjoy the night and let's honour the legends who build the path we all get to walk today. Thanks very much.
Just before we let you go, Bluey, and we'll get into our first inductee, I'm sure when you saw these announced a few weeks ago, a big smile would have come across your face, because you look at the cross-section, there'd be very few in here that you either haven't played with, against, been umpired by, been interviewed by, coached. I mean, you've probably got your fingerprints all over a few of them, but an amazing list of individuals.
Well, I better say thank you to the umpires first, because they were the ones who looked after me for probably 10 or 15 years in the Bendigo League and were very kind to me, which gave me a couple of medals or whatever. And I had the honour of playing against Brendan, champion man, champion person, champion footballer, and it's those sort of memories playing against those guys that I reflect on now at my age. I was so very lucky to be able to play with Ron Best and Peter Moroney, and I'm very honoured to be in the same league as those two people.
And of course, the other aspect of tonight is while the spotlight is on the inductees, and rightfully so, there's also a reflection on those that helped them achieve what they were able to, whether it's coaches, teammates, partners, families, friends. So it's a night of celebration for them as much as it is for the inductees themselves.
Yeah, you're dead right, and there's a lot of work goes into a lot of people, and these sort of trophies are earned. You can't win them, you earn them, and they come from a lot of hard work from a lot of people. And personally mine goes back to the bloke that I think set my career up in Bill Bonney, my first coach at Golden Square. And I'm sure everybody else who's getting inducted tonight has got special people in their life that have helped them along.
Well, I'm sure we're going to hear plenty about it over the next few hours. Bluey, thanks so much for getting us underway, for being here tonight, and I trust you'll enjoy the evening.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Southcombe. So the format for this evening, and this is, I guess, more so for the benefit of the inductees so they know what to expect. We will announce each inductee. You will see a short video that will play up on the big screens with some of the highlights of their careers. And then they are welcome, entitled to make their acceptance speech. It says here on the rundown 3 minutes. There's going to be no Oscars-style music to play you off tonight, so if you do drift past the 3, we understand it is your special night. Then, perhaps, if you're lucky, I might ask you a couple of follow-up questions as well, but following that, we just do ask that you exit the stage, get some photos, some mementos, and also all inductees tonight will receive a gift bag which includes a 1-month Keezer membership, kindly donated by Keezer Bendigo, and those bags also contain a bunch of goodies as well. So that's effectively the format for tonight. This first section of the evening, we're going to announce introduce our first 4 inductees to the Hall of Fame. So let's get it underway. And let's kick it off with our first Hall of Fame inductee for the BFNL in this 2025 event. I'd like to congratulate Matthew Aston.
Joining the Maryborough Junior Football Club in 1989, it was clear Matthew Aston would forge a long and successful career in football. Following 3 years at the club and a senior debut for Maryborough, Matthew's talent took him to the Geelong Falcons in 1992, where he played in the inaugural TAC Cup Premiership team. That same year, he was drafted by the Sydney Swans into the AFL. After time in Sydney, Matthew returned to Maryborough. From 1995 to 2007, he became one of Maryborough's finest players, playing 208 senior games and setting a standard for consistency and leadership. A 3-time club best and fairest winner, 2-time premiership player and Mickelson medalist in 2002, Matthew was also named on the wing in the Maryborough Team of the Century. After serving the club as coach in 2011 and 2012, he was also recognised as a Maryborough Football Netball Club Life member. Those in the Maryborough community will know Matthew for his kindness, respect and loyalty, and now remember his legacy as a Hall of Fame member.
Thank you. Bit greyer than what I was back then, but still grey back then, just used to dye the hair. But anyway, very surprised, humbled, all those things. So when Skin rang me, he was after my email address, and I said to Skin, "What do you need my email address for?" And he goes, "Oh, no reason." I said, "Don't be sending me any invitations to anything." And he goes, "Well, you're not going to like this." And so I was more than shocked. Couldn't believe it, actually. And the couple of weeks that have gone by and thinking and remembering about the career and everything, it's amazing. So I'm more than happy and proud at the minute. So obviously, a few other things. To the Bendigo Footy League, thank you very much. Love playing with Maryborough. To the Maryborough Footy Club, thank you very much. It was a home away from home, and all my best mates, we grew up from school, played footy there. I think Skins 400 something games, Chatty's 200, Toads 200 there. So most of the blokes over there they've played footy with or been coached by, been yelled at by a couple of them. Very happy. And I just don't know what else really to say. Obviously, congratulations to the other inductees tonight. I know played against Lukey Saunders, and he's a terrific player, one of the better ones. I was glad I was at the end of my career when he was getting going. So to everyone else that's been inducted tonight, congratulations. To the two legends, fantastic. I often look at that interleague picture that I think Brendan Hartney's put up, and I think I was lucky enough to play 11 games, I think 11 or 12 games in the interleague jumper, and really loved it. And that's what it was all about to me, just being with your mates, having a good time. I got nearly 20 years of that, so thank you very much. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Matt, congratulations. With some of our inductees this evening, we've had obviously a number of testimonials sent in from some of your teammates or former coaches, and I just grabbed a couple. I didn't want to read them all out, or we would have definitely blown out the 10-minute window. Neville Massenet, your former coach, described you as a sensational winger, half-back or mid who gave his best every time, a top-draw player and an even better bloke. And Jeff Mack described you as having a lasting impact on everyone associated at the Maryborough Football Netball Club. So hearing those sort of words spoken about yourself from such revered figures, how does that make you feel, mate?
Yeah, proud. Jeff Mack is Maryborough royalty, basically. So, coming through the ranks, he was always the dad of the group. Everyone aspired to be like him. The amount of work he put into the club, just a great fella. And great to call him a mate too, so we'll catch up over Christmas down to Port Fairy, hopefully. And Neville, I was just talking to Neville before, and some of the things... Neville was the first coach, we were just talking about this, that ever sort of said, oh, listen, I'm going to start you on the bench, or I'm going to play you in the back pocket, or I'm going to do this, and I'd be out there going, bloody hell, what am I doing? Wasting it. This doesn't happen to me, that type of attitude. But the older I've got, I can understand what he was doing and things like that. Yeah, so when Neville came along, Maryborough were thereabouts, and we had our issues with on-field behaviour and stuff like that, and Neville come along and was just finished us off nicely, brought a couple of players in, we got back-to-back, 98, 99. Yeah, so a bit more professionalism there at Maryborough, which was great.
Yeah, well, you touched on 98, 99, and to win a premiership's tough. To do it, as you said, back-to-back is quite an achievement. Reflections on that period, that time of your career, and obviously winning's great, but the guys you were doing it with and to achieve the ultimate.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. You got blokes like Jamie Bond running around doing whatever they liked. Brendan Tranter, who was probably never ever really fit, Trance, and he was, a fit Brendan Tranter was better than anyone. So, and then your schoolmates you grew up with that were playing alongside you, it was just a sensational period. Maryborough, I don't think had won a flag for a good 24 years, and the whole town sort of got behind us. And they were sensational times. I think we lost maybe 1 or 2 games. We finally got the wood over Sandhurst for a couple of years, which never happened at Maryborough any other time. So they were good days.
Oh, Matt, congratulations, thoroughly deserved. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening, mate. Well
Cheers,
done.
thank you.
Okay, we move to our second inductee of the evening, and for this particular inductee, it's not lacing on a boot, kicking bags of goals or winning Mickelson medals, but covering the game as well, if not better and more thoroughly than anyone else. I'd like to congratulate and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Richard Jones.
For more than half a century, Richard Jones has been one of the key storytellers of Bendigo football. His journey began far from central Victoria, starting in Papua New Guinea in the 1960s, calling rugby league for the ABC in Port Moresby. Richard then joined the Bendigo Advertiser in 1977 and a new chapter began. By 1979, Richard was sports editor, a role he held for 17 years, shaping how local sport was covered and celebrated. He has reported on every Bendigo football season since, becoming a trusted voice in our community. He commented Bendigo football and interleague matches for over 20 years on 3CCC and Fresh FM, hosted Saturday morning panel shows, and even called grand finals on television in the 1980s. After retiring from the Addy, Richard continued to cover a game each week, writing weekly history columns for the BFNL Record and sharing the stories that keep the league's past alive. Across 5 decades, Richard Jones has chronicled the triumphs, heartbreaks and heroes of Bendigo football, preserving its history and giving voice to its community.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's quite unexpected, I have to say. I can remember a whole range of things, but my memory for actual individuals is not as good. I wouldn't have noted Matt Aston if I'd walked into him coming up the stairs. But look, there's all sorts of funny things happen when you're reporting events in the Bendigo League. One anecdote comes to mind. It's sort of more or less like out of a James Bond movie. This is in the days before iPhones and internet and all that, just those black hand phones. Anyway, a bloke rang me up one day and said, "I've got some information for you. The club doesn't want me to have this information released, but I can tell you our expenditure going well into the 6-figure sum." And I said, "Where can I get hold of this bits of paper that you've got?" He said, "We can meet in the rotunda in Roslyn Park." So I go into the park, look at the rotunda, no one there. No one in the front, no one in the enclosed part, and there's my contact bloke crouching down behind the rotunda with a big sheaf of papers under his arm. And I said, "Thanks very much. When do you want me to do something with it?" He said, "It's up to you." He said, "You go first." So I walked back over the bridge back towards the Addy, which was in Pall Mall then, and he scarpered up beside Camp Hill and tried to make himself look as inconspicuous as he could be. So the next day the story goes in the paper. This particular club, a city club, I won't say which one it was, had a very big 6-figure sum of expenditure, and we're talking the early 1980s, so the 6-figure sum was quite big in those days. So I wrote the story, it goes in the paper the next day, and a couple of days later I was foolish enough to go along to the club's AGM. Well, the president sounded off. The treasurer, I thought he was going to have a heart attack. He stood up, waved the finger and said, "Where did you get all this bloody stuff from?" And I thought it best for you, Richard, to make a retreat out the back door and go home, because it had already been in the paper. So there's all sorts of things that go on in the media, some of which obviously we publish, and I've really enjoyed being involved in the Bendigo League for all these years. In my opinion, it's the greatest league in regional Victoria. It's proved that time and again. Brendan Hartney was captain of the team when we beat Geelong in the late 80s at the QEO. We were the Premier League in Victoria, and for my way of looking at things, Carlton, for instance, wouldn't have been anywhere near the club it has been without the zoning of Bendigo and all the players it got. So it's been terrific. I enjoy still going to a game for no money, not even petrol money, but I like helping out at the Addy. So I'll continue to do that, and whether I get to 50 years in 2 more 24 months, I'm not sure, but we'll see. I've done 48 now, and I'm hoping to get 2 more to make it to 50. But it's been a complete surprise, and I'm very gratified to accept this award. It just came out of the blue to me. I mean, journos, we just do what's in front of us. But for me, I really enjoy, and I suppose it's a little bit over the top, but I actually love the Bendigo Football and Netball League. So thank you very much to the selectors, and it's been an absolute honour to take it.
I'll just ask you a couple of quick questions. You grab that one.
Okay.
Congratulations, Richard. The MC interviewing the journo, it's not something that happens very often, but we'll give it a bash. P&G, starting out there, I mean, it's a different pathway, but it's a unique one. Tell us a little bit about those days.
I was up there, I went there in the mid-60s, and I called rugby league for the ABC, 9PA Port Moresby, on relay to 9RB Rabaul. But because I was a Victorian, calling rugby league, which is New South Wales and Queensland, I was called the Mexican from south of the border. So, look, that was fine. I worked on the Post-Courier, the local daily paper, for years and years and years. And my old boss, a lot of people will remember him, Doug Lockwood. Doug was the managing editor of the Bendigo Addy when Judith and I came back down from PNG. And I walked into the office one day. We were just travelling around Australia, seeing where we might like to settle down. And he was standing at the front counter talking to the girls behind the desk. And he said, "What the bloody hell are you doing back in Australia?" I said, "I might ask you the same question. What about you?" He said, "I need a sports writer. When can you start?" Just like that. So I joined the Bendigo Addy in 1977 and stayed there for a quarter of a century.
Yeah, it's an incredible achievement and a sliding doors moment, but a very fortunate one for the BFNL that you did. Coming up on the 50 years, I know you mentioned before you're probably not great with individuals and the like, but you've seen a lot of footy. Mm-hmm. Are there a couple of players that you'd gladly part with the price of admission to go and watch them? Some from the 80s, the 90s, any that really stand out for you, Rich?
Well, Ronnie Best, as Bluey mentioned before, Ron was quite a character. I remember one interleague game up in Albury, Lavington, I think it was the ground where it was played. And Bestie was tying up his boots in the change room, and there was 4 or 5 of these supporters from the Ovens and Murray clambered around in front of him trying to do his boots up, and he waved to me and he said, "Get rid of these buggers." And I said, "No, they won't take any notice of a journo." So I went down the hall and found Colin Rice. Now, Ricey's not short of a word or two. He came up and said to these blokes, "Piss off, these besties trying to get ready." Then another occasion, after he'd kicked his 11 goals 4 in his final match for Northern United in the grand final in 1984, I went into the rooms and he waved me and I came across and he said, "Whatever you do, mention the goals, but don't tell anyone how old I am." So I mean, most of them, they probably was in the guide to start with, but Bestie was very careful not to let out too many details.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the greats and clearly elevated to as a legend of the league. Richard, congratulations. As I said, only a year or two away from hitting the magical 50. I think it's an incredible achievement to stay in one position and roll for so long. And I'm sure everyone out here who's read your articles over the journey is very appreciative of the hard work you've done. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed. Completely unexpected.
Thanks, mate. Good on you.
Thanks, Carol.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And there's something to put in the pool.
Oh, right. Now, better put this in the pocket. So I
Don't lose it.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Carol.
Congratulations again, Richard. We move to our third inductee for the evening. There is an old adage and a saying that, you can't have a game of footy without umpires. And it also helps when you've got good umpires. So it's appropriate tonight that we recognise the contribution of at least one of them. So I'd like you to join me in congratulating an inductee to the BFNL Hall of Fame, Rod Trelfall.
For over 3 decades, Rod Threlfall has been a pioneer across the Bendigo region when it comes to officiating the game of Aussie rules. Rod began umpiring in 1981 and over the next 12 years took charge of 275 games, including 230 senior matches, 40 finals and 14 grand finals. Among them, 4 BFNL senior grand finals and multiple interleague appointments, earning widespread respect from players, coaches and fellow umpires alike. Rod was named the Bendigo Umpires Association Umpire of the Year 4 times and twice was honoured as the Bendigo Football League's Umpire of the Year. Following his retirement from umpiring in 1993, Rod immediately turned his focus to developing the next generation, serving as the BUA coach and advisor and later a board member and vice president. Rod's passion for mentoring saw him step into state-level roles, first as VCFL Umpire Development Officer and then as AFL Country Development Officer, guiding and supporting umpires across Victoria for more than 15 years. In total, 35 years of service to umpiring and umpire development, a career built on fairness, education and a deep love for the game. You will not find someone quite as dedicated to the art of umpiring as Rod Threlfall.
Thank you very much. Can I firstly start by thanking the Bendigo Football Netball League for this incredible honour. It's just amazing that they are prepared to bring umpiring into this Hall of Fame. So thank you so much for that. And also, I'd like to thank the committee who voted on this as well. I know they sit a little bit separate, but I understand that there was a committee that voted after the nomination, and here I am, so thank you. This is an enormous honour and I'm very grateful for the recognition. Umpiring in the Bendigo Football League as it was back then was the pinnacle, and I was very fortunate to officiate many great games with many great players who were the stars. Many of these players have been inducted into the Hall of Fame previously, and others are being inducted this evening. I had the best seat in the house to watch these players showcase their skills. I would also like to thank the Bendigo Umpires Association, their chairman Michael Hockley, and the board for their nomination. The BUA have been a huge part of my sporting career. There are many people who are not here tonight who helped me learn the craft of umpiring, provided wonderful support for my family in my early years, especially in the early years. We had 3 young sons and there was other ladies, partners of other umpires who would help look after those kids while we're at functions and things like that. The people at my table tonight mean so much to me. They have supported my journey and we have built long-lasting friendships which carry through to today. I am very proud to say I have friendships that have lasted 44 years and are ongoing. We had many great times together, which we won't mention some of them tonight, but we, in training and social venues, we had wonderful, wonderful fun on the training venue. To get to umpire with my brother Ron was a privilege, and now it's a great honour to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with him and Jeff Miller. My wife Jenny has always been my biggest supporter, and she was left to raise our 3 boys, as she tells me, when I was away each Saturday and many Sundays. Umpiring footy can be very demanding on everyone, and her support meant I was able to go and be involved in our great game. 2 of our 3 sons are here tonight, Jared and Rowan, and our youngest Michael, who lives in Perth, was unable to make it here. So they've been great supporters as well, so I thank them too. Umpiring has provided me with many great opportunities and so many wonderful memories. I have met incredible people at every level of our great game, and I would like to thank everyone who has supported me through the journey. Congratulations to all the recipients here tonight, and a special mention, if you don't mind, to the Gary Cowling and his group. Gary was a mate of mine. We sort of grew up and knocked around together in a whole group of us, and we used to get into a little bit of trouble too back in the day, but that was another story too. So thank you so much, and please enjoy your night.
Rod, congratulations. It wasn't the longest career as a whistleblower, but boy, oh boy, looking at the achievement list, you squeezed a lot in. Is there a moment, a game, a particular achievement that sticks out in the memory bank? Obviously, all those grand finals would be up there, but any of those in particular?
Oh, obviously, the grand finals. I mean, they're special, as they would be for a player. And I've heard it mentioned here tonight that when Bendigo played in the championships back then, they beat Geelong here on the QEO. Back in those days, you went through the preliminary rounds with your league, and but you weren't allowed to umpire the grand final if they got in, because there may have been some bias. So that year I was sent to Horsham, and I umpired the Division 2 grand final, and that was between Ballarat and Wimmera, and that's probably one of the greatest games other than the grand finals I've ever umpired, and the underdog got up that day. So, but there's many great games, and I knew you were going to ask that, Benny. So I've been racking my brain a bit, but many great games, some wonderful players that everyone in this room's seen play, and some great skills showcased all the time.
Now, Rob Wilson, in a letter of support for your nomination and induction into the Hall of Fame, said one of the great attributes you had as an umpire, Rod, was you took a lot of pride in knowing players' names. Now, I guess we watch the AFL players run around every week on the TV screen. They're a bit more recognisable. Some of these guys in the BFNL, you might have umpired once every 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, I'd love to know how you went about that. I struggle to remember my name half the time when I'm out there running around trying to make decisions, and that was something you obviously took a great deal of pride in.
And Rob Wilson's been a great mate of mine since the early 80s. So, look, I don't know. It's sort of something you just pick up on. I found that by calling a player by their name, you got a quicker and much better response. So if you want them to come back on the mark or do something for you, by calling them by their name, then that gave you a better opportunity to get the response you wanted. So I had no secret to... I know AFL umpires have a folder, and I mean, they have 700 players on the list at AFL clubs. They have a folder with every player's name, their photo, and they're expected to know each and every one of them. So it's pretty challenging.
Yeah, no doubt. And you speak about the AFL side of things, and I just wanted to ask you quickly, before we let you go, the achievements as an individual yourself as an umpire, great, but obviously then moving into that leadership, mentoring, coaching role to see some of your charges, and I think even this year's AFL Grand Final as an example, having a couple of umpires that you mentored and guided, umpiring on the biggest stage of all, that's got to give you a great sense of pride as well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I worked closely with Jacob Mollison. He was from Albury. He was a 16-year-old umpiring O&M Grand Finals back then. Hayden Meyer, who used to be Hayden Gaveen, took his wife's surname when he got married early this year or last year. He came through our junior programs as well, and some of the boundary umpires as well. I mean, Tim Lagoon, Matt Vittoriti, who's a local boy, Matt umpired 300 AFL games as well. So it gives you a great sense of pride, and it must annoy the hell out of my wife, because when I'm watching footy on whatever night, Friday night, I say, oh, there's so-and-so on the boundary, and she probably couldn't care less.
Oh, mate, again, as we saw, and it goes without saying, you look up at the big screen, the list of achievements, it's phenomenal. So congratulations on your induction tonight, and well done on all you've achieved in the game as an umpire. Well,
thank you so much, Benny.
Okay, to our fourth inductee, we will induct this individual, and then we will take a short break as our entrees start to make their way to tables. But as we get to our fourth inductee, I would like you to join me in congratulating Rose Gallagher.
Few have shaped Bendigo netball both on and off the court quite like Roseanne Gallagher. After moving to Bendigo in 1991, Roseanne began her local career with Kennington before stints at South Bendigo and finally Sandhurst, where she became one of the league's most admired mid-court players. Across 8 seasons, Roseanne amassed 125 games across the league, winning 2 BFNL A-grade Best and Fairests, as well as the Fulton Medal in 1995 and the Betty Thompson Medal in 1997. She also claimed Best and Fairest awards at Sandhurst in 1995 and 1997. A 2-time premiership player in 1995 and 1996, Roseanne was also part of 4 consecutive grand final teams to close out the decade. She was recognised on 5 occasions with interleague selections between 1995 and 1999, representing Bendigo at the highest level. After her playing career, Roseanne turned her passion to coaching and development, guiding Sandhurst's junior teams from 2011 to 2015 and leading the 17 and under premiership sides on 6 occasions. She also coached Sandhurst's senior sides from 2017 to 2021 and more recently in 2025. Today, Roseanne continues to serve as Netball Operations Manager at Sandhurst, a role she has held since 2017, bringing the same commitment and class she showed as a player. From a brilliant mid-quarter to a respected coach and leader, Roseanne Gallagher's impact on Sandhurst and the Bendigo Football Netball League is lasting and profound.
Thank you. That's a bit overwhelming, really. The kids might have learnt something. Firstly, congratulations to the other inductees and legends being recognised tonight. I'm in very esteemed company, no doubt, and I'm very honoured to be receiving this award, but more importantly with my other Sandonians. Our club continues to set the bar. Moving to Sandhurst was a pivotal moment in time for me. My friend Chrissy Green dragged me across way back in 1995 and I've been hanging around ever since. So you hang around long enough, you might get a few awards on the way. Everyone else has moved on, but I seem to find it hard to go. I've turned into the old lady at netball, which I promised myself I never would be. There have been lots of memories. Meeting Sandhurst have given me my husband and the connections and friendships that I truly cherish along the way, and still friends with a lot of those players that I played back in the 90s with. My teammates back then, I thank them having to put up with my white line fever. I think I could have been a little bit intense back then, so thanks for putting up with me. To the BFNL board and the selection committee, thank you for nominating me. I'm very humbled. I think Carol Singh, you dobbed me in for this and put my name forward, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. To Sandhurst for welcoming me into the Dragon family. The people who make Sandhurst the club it is. We managed to be the club most envied in the league, and even though we were unmanned and under-resourced, most seasons we get there because we do it for each other and our love for the club. It's the people and the generations of family that make the club so great, so thank you for all being great humans. Thank you to Carol Cathcart, who was one of my coaches way back in the 90s, and we remain good friends to this day. You continue to push me out of my comfort zones and have given me a love for coaching. Thank you. Your netball knowledge continues to remind me of how actually little I know. So thank you very much. Finally, my family. My life is pretty simple. It's work, netball, family and friends. The order gets a bit hazy at times, but I couldn't do what I love without your support, so thank you. To my friends who I've dragged along tonight, thanks, especially Vicky and Kath, thanks for remaining interested in my love for this crazy sport. You keep me grounded and I appreciate your support as well. And finally to Dave, who picks up the pieces when I've always taken on a little bit too much and stretched myself a little bit too thin. I thank you.
Congratulations, Roseanne. Again, another incredible...
Call me Rose. That's okay.
Rose, happy with that? All right, Rose. We'll go with Rose. Like everyone else, amazing CV. So many great achievements, but I guess it's the team success that always stands out, and those premierships, the back-to-back. Memories of that, are they pretty solid or a bit hazy?
No, well, it's a long time ago now. So, yeah, no, they're pretty solid though. And it's the friends that I made back in those groups that we're still friends, and they're pretty special and cherished friendships.
And then playing interleague, which is sort of again the next level up. You're playing with the cream of the crop, some of the week-to-week rivals from opposition clubs, but then to get the chance to play with them, that must also hold some special memories as well.
Absolutely. We had some pretty special players back then, and like we do now, and continue to keep getting better players each year. But again, made friendships and connections with girls from other clubs, and still to this day I'm friends with most of them as well, so it's pretty special. That's what sport gives you.
Absolutely, that's the best part about it. Now, from the coaching side of things, still heavily involved, what gives you the greatest, I don't know, whether it's the greatest joy, the greatest challenge, is it coaching the very best, so obviously your A-grade type operators, or bringing up the next raft to the next generation in your under-17s and like, which sort of challenges you more, do you reckon, these days?
Well, I haven't had the opportunity to coach the A grade, and hopefully that doesn't happen. But no, I love working with the kids. They just like little sponges. They want to learn, and we're pretty lucky at Sandhurst to have Carol on board, and with her knowledge and foundations, the kids just excel, so it's pretty exciting.
And the health of the game, particularly within the Bendigo Football Netball League, the talent coming through, the numbers that are turning up year in, year out, the junior pathways, the game's in pretty good state, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Netball's in a pretty good state, and we have obviously the pathway now with Bendigo Strikers, so also involved in that. So it's good for the kids to be able to see that there is a pathway for them in country Victoria, so it's pretty special.
Well, a very deserved recognition, Rose. Congratulations on your achievements.
Thank you.
Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, Rose Gallagher. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, 4 of our Hall of Fame members inducted. We still have 6 to go, our 2 legends to be elevated as well. But for now, we are going to take a very short break. Some food will be coming out in a matter of moments. So sit back, relax, enjoy, catch up, and we'll be back shortly to continue with our Hall of Fame inductions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, appreciate your patience. There are still some meals being served to tables. So again, as I said, we're just trying our best to stick to the schedule so we can finish the night on time, give everyone an appropriate opportunity at the end of the evening to catch up and, as I said, reminisce about some of the good times and celebrate with our Hall of Fame inductees. So with some of those meals still coming out, as I said, just polish those off in the background, that's fine. We certainly don't expect everyone to stop eating while we get to our next inductee, but we will move on and we will announce our next 2025 BFNL Hall of Fame inductee. I'd like you to join me in congratulating Gary Cowling. I'd like to call to the stage Gary's children, Lauren Bowles, Joel Cowling, Nick Cowling and Jaden Cowling on behalf of the family.
South Bendigo's under-13s at just 10 years old, playing well above his age, a pattern that would continue throughout his career. By 15, he was starring in the under-18s, and at just 17, he won the Senior Best and Fairest in 1976. Renowned for his precise left foot kicking, though he was just as good on his right, Gary was a brilliant centreman. He combined silky skill with tough, fearless football, earning the nickname Bruiser and living up to it in every contest. He claimed back-to-back Best and Fairest awards in 1979 and 1980, and across 115 senior games was admired by teammates as one of the finest players they ever shared the field with. In 1979, Gary was runner-up in the Mickelson Medal, polling the same votes as the winners, but losing on countback. Shortly after his passing, that medal was awarded to him retrospectively, an honour that deeply moved his family and the entire South Bendigo community. A 3-time interleague representative and vice-captain of South Bendigo, Gary's leadership was matched only by his humility and love for the club. Gary Cowling will always be a true South Bendigo champion and a much-loved character at the Bloods.
Lauren, you've been anointed as the family spokesperson, so thank you, appreciate it. Amazing to look back on some of those photos and hear all of those achievements, but I think just for the benefit of everyone in the room, tell us a bit about Dad. Not so much the footballer, but the guy after a game and after training that used to come home.
I'm glad you said that actually, because Dad actually didn't really talk much about football. He was a very modest type of a dad, and I think there's lots of people out there that like to reminisce on their careers and maybe tell a few stories and exaggerate how they played. And Dad was quite the opposite. You'd ask him about his football career and he just kind of said, I played at South, and that one time he got runners-up in the Mickelson Medal, and that was about it that you heard from Dad. So we know Dad so much as being just such a modest, quiet, gentle personality as a father. Obviously, he adored his grandkids, and you can see them there on that table tonight. He cherished his memories with his grandkids, and in terms of a dad, it wouldn't have mattered what we did, if we played sport or didn't play sport. He was always our greatest supporter.
So from what I'm gathering there, Lauren, even if he had been here tonight, he would have hated this. He probably still would have given you the mic to speak on his behalf. Clearly very modest and not one to rant and rave about how good he used to be back in the day, that sort of stuff.
Well, that's right. And you would have heard that obviously after his passing, he was awarded Joint Mickelson Medal winner. And I think Brian Watts might have said something to Dad years and years ago, and Dad was like, "Don't you dare follow that up. I just don't need that. That's not what the game's about." He was always about just meeting new people and being a part of a club and being a really great team player. And that's what we take away from Dad. It's just about being a really good person. If you're a part of the team, do your best for the team and contribute in the best manner possible.
And clearly a name revered around South Bendigo and around the entire competition. I know you're back involved with the club as well, so you would hear it in passing, just keeping his memory alive, but also just what it means to you. I know you're speaking on behalf of your brothers as well, but what it means to the Cowling family to get this sort of recognition for your dad.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge shock for the family, to be honest. We must thank Bert McIver and Brian Watts and Trevor Wright. I know they did a lot of work trying to collate all the statistics on Dad, and Mum did call and say, like, "What have you got on Dad?" And I just had a few clippings and a few photos that you would have seen up here tonight. So as I said, we were absolutely shocked, but at the same time, really proud, because I think, from the last couple of weeks and even when he was awarded that Mickelson medal, we've just heard so many wonderful stories about Dad and the footballer that he was. And obviously he got that nickname Bruiser, and you only get that from being really tenacious and gritty. And we're super proud. Wonderful supporters here tonight for Dad. As I said, Brian and Trev and his brother Shane and Lee, and they've got the grandkids and Gav, and we're overwhelmed with the support. Obviously losing Dad left a really big hole in our family, and so occasion like tonight has just brought so much joy, and it has brought all of us together as siblings. Nick's from interstate, we don't get together very often, so we're really proud, and Dad would be extremely honoured as well.
Well, that's a nice little bonus as well. Lauren, I think everyone here will join me in once again putting their hands together and congratulating the entire Cowling family, obviously, for Gary's achievements. Well done. All good? Okay, to our next inductee, and I would like you again to join me in congratulating Steve McDougall.
For Steve McDougall, football was in his blood. He began as a junior at Maccorner, where at just 16 years old he kicked 92 goals in a single season, in a team which went on to lose the grand final. It was the start of a career that would continue a family legacy, and he was named in the McCorner Team of the Century alongside his father, Don. At Eaglehawk, Steve played 145 senior games, kicked 123 goals, and left a lasting mark on the club's proud history. A 1982 Premiership player, two-time Best and Fairest winner, and runner-up in the 1991 Mickelson Medal, Steve was also honoured in the Eaglehawk Team of the Century. His talents were recognised far and wide, representing the Bendigo Football League 18 times, including 3 grand finals, and as a member of the 1989 Division 1 Interleague Championship team. He also wore the Vic Country colours in 1991 and 1992, standing amongst the best players in the state. Beyond Eaglehawk, Steve continued to excel, winning the Feeney Medal with Charlton, earning interleague honours at Wurrunen, and later coaching Midiamo, where he was again named in the Team of the Century. Universally admired by teammates and opponents alike, Steve played with skill, vision, and humility. His ability to read the game and his knack for kicking goals from the midfield made him one of the finest players of his era in the Bendigo Football League. Steve McDougall will be remembered across the state as a true champion of country football.
I'll try and drag that 10 minutes back a bit for you. Excuse me for reading, but anyway, I just don't want to forget anything. Being here tonight is an honour. I never really imagined being inducted into the Bendigo Football Netball League Hall of Fame. This is incredibly humbling and I'm grateful. I would like to acknowledge the people who supported me along the way, my wife Karen and our 3 girls, Rachel, Bridget and Samantha, my friends, my teammates, the Eaglehawk Football Netball Club and coaches. Every achievement was a team effort and I am thankful for the encouragement, guidance and belief over the years. I would also like to thank those who nominated me and the selection committee for recognising my efforts in this way. It means a lot to me. Football gave me some of the best times of my life, not just the wins, but the camaraderie, the laughs, the opportunity to experience the joy of kicking the football. This was something I loved doing from the time I could hold a football. To the Eaglehawk Football Netball Club, thank you for your incredible support and the belief throughout my time as a player. I was lucky to have coaches, teammates and supporters who made playing there a privilege. To Rani and her committee, Travis, Clayton, the match committee and Billy, congratulations on the premiership and such a successful 2025. Congratulations to all the inductees here tonight, to Brendan and Peter on their induction as legends of the Bendigo Football Netball League, a well-deserved honour. I'd also like to thank my friends, family who have come along to support me here tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Steve, congratulations on the achievements and obviously tonight's recognition. It's been some journey, mate, not just obviously your time at Eaglehawk, which, as we've seen at great length there, you had a huge impact, but playing in South Australia, I think Charlton and Wurrunen as well, even out in the Loddon Valley, it's been quite a journey. It probably feels like it all flew by really quick though, I imagine.
Yeah, it did fly by very quickly, but when you're just married and got a young family, well, you've got to go where the work is, and that was part of the reason that, I was travelled around a bit.
We've seen I think the photo's been getting around a little bit in the media the last couple of weeks since these inductees were named. The 89 Interleague side, which you were a part of, it's a revered photo. I think it might have been when you were coming off after maybe even the semi-final, coming off the ground, all arm in arm. Looked like just a really great tight-knit bond that team had, and which is unusual. I mean, of course, you're playing against each other one week and then you're playing together, the cream of the crop, but what memories they must be. Yeah,
they're great memories. Like the interleague team was just an extra team in the league at that stage, and the players of the calibre of like Brendan and Chris Green, and I was also fortunate enough to play with brother Andrew in that as well.
And just finally, I guess on that point, you do get the chance to suit up with those sort of guys, but the opponents you used to come up against, were there any that stand out for you, that whether they gave you a dogged time or you just loved challenging yourself against back when you were probably at the best in your footy?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of great players when I was playing, but Brendan Hartney, I didn't actually play on Brendan, but he was a great player for Sandhurst. Greg Williams and those type of blokes were going around when I was playing, so so there was a lot of good players, and
And you held your own, I'm sure, amongst them. Hey, well done again on your achievements, Steve. Congratulations. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thanks, Benny. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next inductees, and I use that as a plural, it's a little bit special. They're all special, but this one with a little extra feeling behind it. It's a husband and wife duo. I'd like you to put your hands together and welcome to the BFNL Hall of Fame, Danny and Kylie Ellis. Also invite Jeremy, their son, to come up as well.
For more
Thanks,
than
Jeremy.
2 decades, Kylie Ellis has been one of the driving forces behind the Sandhurst Football Netball Club and the Bendigo Football Netball League. Kylie's journey began at Sandhurst in 1998, joining the social committee before quickly stepping up to the executive committee just 2 years later. From there, her dedication only grew, serving as secretary, administrator and a trusted leader within the club for over 22 years. At league level, Kylie's contribution to the BFNL has been nothing short of extraordinary. Between 2004 and 2011, she served on the netball executive, managing everything from player registrations and match results to interleague coordination and netball operations. Her attention to detail, professionalism and tireless behind-the-scenes work ensured the competition ran smoothly week after week for all players, coaches and clubs. Kylie has also hosted Saturday morning radio programs, wrote weekly BFNL record articles and played a key role in the best and fairest vote counts, a task she's continued every season since 1998. Her service has been recognised with life membership of both Sandhurst Football Netball Club in 2009 and the Bendigo Football Netball League in 2021, and now a BFNL Hall of Fame member. For 40 years, Danny Ellis gave everything he could to the Sandhurst Football Netball Club as a player, leader and volunteer. Recruited in 1984, Danny began with the under-18s before stepping into the senior ranks the following year. By 1986, he was the club's leading goal kicker and 2 years later, the league's leading goal kicker. Across 115 senior games, Danny played the game with commitment and pride, captaining Sandhurst from 1991 to 1994 and later coaching 82 senior matches. However, Danny's legacy would extend well beyond the playing field. In 1996, he joined the committee as players' representative, the beginning of 28 years of extraordinary service to the club he loved. Danny served as president for 11 seasons, as secretary for 14 and treasurer for 3. He also stepped up as interim league chair, helping steady the Bendigo Football Netball League during the early 2000s. His contribution has been recognised with countless honours. Danny was both a life member and a Hall of Fame inductee at the Sandhurst Football Netball Club, and in 2024 was elevated to club legend. Danny's rich contribution to the Sandhurst Football Netball Club and the greater Bendigo Football Netball League community will be greatly missed, but never forgotten.
You know, I was just a girl from Bundoora who met a young fella at the Sandhurst Footy Club function back in 1989. And from then, it was, a beautiful friendship. I suppose we can call it. By the time we got married, because it was a long courtship, I moved to Bendigo, and I said I wanted to get involved locally, and I was thinking maybe, primary schools, a little bit of football. And I can't believe that, one night Danny was already president at this stage, and he held committee meetings at our home because it was just a little bit easier for, it was a very small committee. And there was one time there where I was actually ended up taking the minutes. It was about 2 years in. I was taking the minutes for the meeting, and something was being voted on, and I put my hand up, and Danny turned around and said, "You can't vote. You're actually not on this committee." I think by the next committee, I was elected secretary of the club. It didn't take long then to sort of be involved. And I think, it's quite clear that Danny and I were very much a team in everything we did. A lot of that, though, I have to actually say, a lot of that has to go to thanks to a lot of people who helped us to be able to do that. Back in those early days, we actually had, young children, babies, basically, we were doing that. So I have to give it to both our mothers, Fran and Kerry, who did a lot of babysitting so that we could actually go to committee meetings, go to Sandhurst functions, that sort of thing. Also to my beautiful sisters-in-law, Marita and Kate, who were around at the time, who did a lot of babysitting as well. I'd probably like to thank my children the most of all for these, awards, being Genevieve, Jeremy and Audrey, because they are the ones who were dragged around to, not just, going to the footy on a netball on a Saturday was fine because I figured we gave them the biggest playground of all. But it was dragging them to netball training and footy training Tuesday nights, Thursday nights. There were times when I was still up at the QEO on a evening and we hadn't had tea yet. Fish and chips Tuesday night became a bit of a thing. I went over to the Rifle one night with one of the other netballers because the boys were having tea there, and my little daughter, 3 or 4, fell asleep in front of the fire there, and someone said, "Oh, that's a bit neglectful." I said, "What do you mean?" "She's with her parents, she's nice and warm, she's comfortable, everything's fine." And that's just the way they grew up, just being, dragged along to everything, and I don't think that affected them too much. But all the same, these awards are as much to, for you guys as well as your father and I. I'd also just tonight, I'd love to thank my beautiful support crew here, nieces and nephews who said they wanted to come along and support us, in this journey we've been doing. So thanks very much to nieces and nephews, family and beautiful friends down there. I probably also would like to thank the Sandhurst Football Netball Club, who obviously have played a huge part in our life. A bit like Rose Gallagher, I met Danny because I actually came up one weekend to go out with my cousins who were playing at Sandhurst, and went to a function there, and that's when I ended up meeting Danny, and the rest is history. And I think probably the greatest one, and I think if Danny was here tonight, the first thing he would actually say was, "I'd like to thank my wife," because she's been terrific support for him, and that's why I think we actually have been a terrific team in doing all this. I mean, if someone told me even 6 years ago when I actually attended the last Hall of Fame night that I would actually be standing up here as an inductee, I would have sort of thought, really? But it's a real honour to joining in with the other inductees. I've watched both Matt and Luke play footy. It's been an honour. Brendan Hartney, I think I've said this before, that Danny would say that you're the best footballer he's actually ever seen at Sandhurst, probably in the BFNL as well. So well done there to you. I think sometimes being part of a community in sport is that you get a lot of support from people. So obviously last year was quite a challenging year. And I got a lot of messages from a lot of people, particularly Sandhurst. I mean, we were overwhelmed with the messages we got when Danny passed away. But it's really lovely to be able to say that I actually got messages from people at other clubs, and one of them we know was Tiana Newman from Gisborne, who sent me a message. And, when you go and say, oh, look, people from other clubs actually appreciate the work you do. And thanks, Tiana, who's here obviously as Luke's partner. You actually appreciate that what sport can actually do, and it's bring people together, and you get to know each other. And as I said, being involved in netball for so long, I got to know a lot of people through other clubs, and it's been wonderful. I did actually used to love when I did a write-up in the netball page, and I would, this is back in 2005, 6, 7, 8, and I would actually write about predictions on who would win, and I loved it when people come up from other clubs and would say, oh, so you didn't tip us, we'll show you. I thought, that's great, that's what it's all about. So, I think my last thing probably to say is that I have to actually say to the greatest supporter I had in everything I did is obviously Danny. He supported me in absolutely everything I did with Sandhurst Footy Netball Club, with the league. It was a lot of hours, but it brought a lot of enjoyment to both of us, and we're really appreciative, of the honour that's been bestowed upon both of us today. And so thank you very much to the Bendigo Football Netball League. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. It was such a beautiful speech. You've left me with nothing to really follow up on. So what I thought I'd do is actually go to Jeremy and just ask you, seeing your mum and dad recognised in such a way tonight. I know your mum mentioned your kids through the story, and obviously, you were there through the whole duration of it, but it must be a really proud moment for you to see, particularly with your dad, the recognition tonight.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely, terribly proud and inspired by both getting the award tonight. Obviously, Mum's commitment is, incredible, and Dad's as well. He's, love the game and the clubs and even just the league itself. The amount of times when we were younger where we had, pages and pages of documents on the dining table. You couldn't eat dinner because he's just had his everything spread. Even when I went out to clean the garage, there's papers from decades ago because he just liked to keep them. Like, if he wasn't who he was, he'd be a historian for sport. He was really great like that, and so to obviously have him honoured and appreciated here, it's really wonderful. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy, Kylie, Alice, and of course Danny, congratulations. Okay, our ninth Hall of Fame inductee this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, happy to announce, you'll join me in congratulating Luke Saunders.
Across 2 decades in red, white and blue, Luke Saunders built a reputation as one of Gisborne's finest. Luke's success for Gisborne started with an under-18 premiership in 1997, and he became a leader and captain of the club across 145 senior games. As a 4-time senior premiership player, including back-to-back captaincies in 2005 and 2006, he led Gisborne through one of its most successful eras through the mid-2000s. Recognised beyond club level, Luke represented the Bendigo Football Netball League, captaining multiple interleague sides and earning selection for Vic Country 3 times, once as captain in 2007 and once as vice-captain in 2006. In 2006, he was named in the All-Australian team at the National State Carnival and was named Best Player of the campaign. At league level, Luke was recognised with the competition's greats claiming the Mickelson Medal as winner in 2005 and was named runner-up in both 2006 and 2007. He also guided Gisborne as playing coach in 2011 and 2012, leading the side to 6 finals appearances and a grand final. Luke's accolades also include his selection as vice-captain in the Bendigo Football Netball League Team of the Decade from 2000 to 2009, as well as the Gisborne Football Netball Club Team of the Decade, and a proud Gisborne Hall of Fame member. A modern great of the Bendigo region, Luke can now add League Hall of Fame member to his illustrious career.
Thanks a lot. A little bit different to you, Maddie. I was bald when I started and I'm still bald. So, some things never change. I get pretty nervous when I get up in front of people, so I wrote a speech. Just wanted to make sure I thanked everyone, so we'll go ahead. Firstly, I want to congratulate the other inductees tonight, and in particular Brendan and Peter. The influence and impact you've had on this league and in Bendigo in general goes to show the work you put in and the character you both displayed. Thank you very much for this incredible honour. To be recognised by the Bendigo Football Netball League on the same night as these special people is extremely humbling and a little embarrassing when I consider the quality of the people I played with and against over the 10 to 15 years of my career. I consider myself incredibly lucky, not only to have played at Gisborne, but to have been born in Gisborne and to have grown up as part of this great club. I'm very emotional about this because Gisborne means a lot. Gisborne shaped me as a person and taught me what it means to be a part of something bigger than yourself. It's also the place where I met Tiana, and together we now have 2 beautiful kids in Seb and Winnie. My connection to the club goes back a long way. Both my dad Cyril and grandfather played for Gisborne. Dad was a star who won a premiership in 1972, and if not for injuries would have enjoyed even more success. My grandfather Alan Wahoon, who is my mum Wilma's dad, was also a star midfielder in the 50s. So to follow in their footsteps and to play at the same club along with my brother Daniel is something I'm so proud of. From my earliest memories watching Dad to seeing Tinny finish her career with another premiership, this club has always felt like home. I was lucky enough to play alongside great people, teammates who were tough, loyal and selfless. To a few in particular, Matt Fitzgerald, Darren Ferrugia, Ant Belcher, Rod Sharp, Stephen Reaper and Oliam Saudi. You all brought out the best in me. Our success was hard-earned and well-deserved. I was also coached by outstanding men. The 2 biggest influences were Mick McGuan and Marcus Barham. Mick came to us when we were a bit of an undisciplined rabble, and in the space of 2 months before Christmas in 2001, changed our behaviours and set us on a path that would have us play in 6 straight grand finals. Marcus took over when he was only 26, and after losing 8 of our best 10 to 12 players from the year before, got us playing an even harder brand of footy. He kept us on edge and you never quite knew what you were going to get. He was amazing for us and had a huge impact on me. I also want to acknowledge the players I was fortunate enough to coach. Casey Summerfield, Scott Walsh, Sean Comerford and Jared Lynch are just some of the boys that showed me enormous respect, bought into my ideas and pushed themselves. Together we came so close to the ultimate glory. We didn't quite get there, but those couple of years remain some of my most cherished in football. Coaching you guys was truly one of the great privileges of my time in the game. To the BFNL, thank you. A strong league with a proud history. When we first entered the league in 2000, we may have underestimated the professionalism required to compete against the best clubs. We worked hard and lifted our rating in every area to become one of the standouts of the past 25 years. You lifted us, and we are proud to say that we made the league better. We have loved and respected this organisation, which has led us to playing finals most years, only missing a few times. Our A-grade netball team has played finals nearly every year since the mid-2000s, which I think is a great achievement. To my direct opponents, namely Mel Borchard, Ben Hines, Luke Button, Anthony Holdstock, thank you for making it tough every single week. I love the competition and you force me to get better every year. We had some great rivalries with awesome clubs. I love playing on the hard decks of Bendigo, a bit different to Gisborne. We pretty much grew up on mud for our whole childhood, and then when we came up here it was firm and fast footy. The games I loved the most were against Golden Square, Eaglehawk and Sandhurst. I copped my fair share of abuse from the supporters at Canterbury Park, but it only made me love you more. And finally, to my family, thanks Mum, Dad, Hayley, Naomi and Daniel. Your support, encouragement and love has meant so much. And I love how close we were growing up and how close we still are now. Thank you to everyone who's been part of this journey. I'm incredibly proud of what we achieved together and deeply grateful for this honour. Accepting this induction is not just a special moment for me, it's a special moment for Gisborne, for everyone who came before me, who helped build the club, for the people I play with and the volunteers who keep the place running, and for those who have come after me and continue to wear the jumper with pride. I see this as an honour. I see this honour as something we all share. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Brilliantly done, mate. It's not an easy gig. I know you're more comfortable out chasing the Sharon. Standing by the lectern's probably not your go, but I think you did an amazing job. I don't want to embarrass you any further, but you talk about some of those teammates you played with. I reckon one to a man sent in testimonials, obviously once they found out you were getting inducted. I won't read them all out because we'd have to extend the liquor licence, we'd be here till 12. But I will read a couple of select lines from a man you obviously have a high deal of respect for. Luke was as brave as they come when competing for the footy, yet played with skill and flair. In a game in where you need to be trusted, this is and was Luke Saunders, the person and the player. And that of course comes from your former coach, Premiership coach Mick McGuan. Hearing words like that from someone who's achieved so much in footy and obviously shaped you must feel pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty special. Like I said there, he just had a huge impact on us. We were pretty undisciplined and a bit of a rabble when he came, but yeah, his knowledge and experience and hardness set us on that path, and yeah, I can't thank him enough.
And not only, I think, like you said, elevated you, I think the competition as a whole through that period, through that era, even though you guys were pretty dominant, it made everyone else get better. And I know, being as modest as you are, you won't agree with this sentiment, but through that four-peat, were there just times, particularly down in Gisborne, in the mud, where you just thought, you run out each week and I reckon we've got these guys beaten already, just through the aura that Mick brought to the club, but also the way you guys played and gelled as a team? Yeah,
there wasn't, when they came to Gisborne, there wasn't many who could beat us. Sandhurst got us 1 year 3 times and they ended up winning the flag in 2004. They were an unbelievable team. But over that period, the graveyard was, it was tough. It was tough to come to.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, mate, again, well done on everything you've achieved. Well done on tonight, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Well done, Luke Saunders. Okay, we've arrived at our 10th and final, last but by no means least, our inductees to tonight's Hall of Fame. So, for the final time, of course we've still got 2 legends to get to as well, so there is a bit still to come, but for the final time, will you join me in congratulating Chris Green?
Across 29 years of service as player and administrator, few have embodied the qualities of loyalty, commitment and spirit to the Sandhurst Football Netball Club like Chris Green. Chris first pulled on the maroon and blue in 1979, beginning a 203 senior game career that would extend over 18 years, establishing Chris as a cornerstone of the club. A proud member of Sandhurst's 1981 premiership team, Chris played the game hard but fair and was considered a teammate you could always rely on. Representing the Bendigo Football Netball League 3 times between 1988 and 1990, he was part of the Division 1 Interleague Championship team in 1989. After his playing days, Chris gave back even more. He coached 82 senior matches across 4 seasons, often stepping in when the club needed him most, including 4 years as an unpaid coach during Sandhurst's time as an amateur club. His commitment extended to the committee room, where he served for over a decade, always putting the club and its needs first. In 1994, Chris was recognised with Life Membership, a fitting honour for his dedication and leadership. In 2024, his contribution reached its rightful place in club history with an induction into the Sandhurst Football Netball Club Hall of Fame. Chris's service to the Sandhurst Football Netball Club is a legacy built on loyalty and care for the club he loves.
Thank you. That tended to go on a bit, didn't it? As echoing everyone's words for tonight, it's very humbling and pretty embarrassing. Thanks to Owie and the committee for putting me forward, to the selectors who actually let it go forward, and to the league for doing what they've done on tonight. It's fantastic. I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees and the legends that are, well, the guys that have been promoted to legend. It's been fantastic, and with the exception of Luke, I think I've played with everyone, Gary and Rod at school, before Rod went to the dark side. When he was a good bloke. And all the other guys, the interleague that's been mentioned a bit tonight about interleague footy and what we did. But we had some fantastic times, and Steve touched on it, that it became a 8th club, I think 8th or 9th club in the league, and we actually spoke about that. There was that stage there, Walt, Brendan and Sandhurst wasn't travelling that well, and we said, look, we're probably not going to make finals, so let's give this a real crack. So we did, and Luke's level was fantastic. He let us really bond and become what we are. It was great to actually get congratulated by Andy McDougall. I know that would have been hard because there's always got to be a satire or sarcastic comment afterwards, but thanks Andy for your genuine well wishes. I'd like to also also thank, so the journey it's been long, and I'd like to thank Anne. She's been there all the way through it. And, look, to be honest, we raised a family, terrific kids. They're all here, 3 kids that I'm very proud of. They've all got very good partners. We've got 1 grandkid. The other 2 had better sort of kick along a bit and see how we go there. Greta's doing fantastically well, and so Ella at this stage is leading the pack. Geez, I skipped through a few of these, don't I? Christ. And you got another mention. So look, she did. Anne did, as I said, a terrific job. And she's been there to support both myself and Brendan. And the cricket's finished. Shane? Cricket? We won. Right, good job. I wonder why you're paying attention. So look, Lan's done a fantastic job with the kids, and with my roles, and one of the reasons why I'm here is, it's been mentioned that I did quite a bit with the footy club, but also had to work and everything, and did all the parenting, and I occasionally babysat. So it's fair to say that the kids are what they are because of what Anne did, and the football club recognises that. When I coached, they said I coached for nothing, and that's true. But everyone played for nothing. So they were, if you talk about the group that was around in that 91 to 95, 96, it was just a fantastic era. Richard passed through the den on many nights on the way home, and he was. We stayed there. Well, I think we created the den as it is now one Sunday, but Richard passed through, and the girls, the other inductees, Kylie and Rose. I'm proud to say that I've spent many nights with them in the den. And they're just great. Look, I couldn't be prouder of Sandhurst as a club. We've always held our head high on and off the field. We've never been not able to attract, but we've never been able to go out and chase the big players. Some really good players have come to the club and made the club home. I would have loved to have played with Luke, with him in the interleague thing, and against him, that would have been outstanding. But all the other ones, all the other inductees, I'm really proud to have actually been associated with all you guys. And in touching the interleague again, that was. I'm so happy that the board has pushed that forward and kept riding the interleague boat to get it up and running. And next year at Ovens and Murray, that photo that Ben mentioned before, that was coming off. So we beat Ovens and Murray here, and they sooked up and they said that we only beat them because it was dry. So we went up there, and it was, if you see the photo, it was just a bucket of mud, a bit like Gisborne, Lukey, you would have loved it. It was just shocking. It poured, and we walked off, and there was a couple of their crows that were hanging on the fence, and I can't actually verbalise exactly what we said, but along the lines of, "What have you got to say now, sir?" So anyway, they were great. They were fantastic times, and we did have some wonderful, memorable bus trips. Look, interleague's always been very, very special to me. Someone, and I forget which one, said that we won the '89 championship. Well, we were runners up. Well, we didn't win the '88. We didn't win the '90. So we played in 3 grand finals in a row, and it was just it was a really proud moment. We actually had a cavalcade down the Mall. The Mall's not there anymore, and you would never get a cavalcade happening again. So, there's a couple of things that won't ever happen again. I got my glasses. Represented that pretty well. This is the last one. Oh yeah, I mentioned Strossi. Yeah. So look, I can't really stress how proud I am, and really embarrassed to receive this award. There's been, like, Mark now is running the club as president with a great committee. We've got a terrific committee, and the netball saved the football club. I have no doubts in saying that. If netball hadn't been brought in to the league, then the Sandhurst Footy Club wouldn't be in existence now. The netballers have continued to not only be part of the club, but to make the club stronger and better. They correct us, so we're not all these blokes standing around in corners, but we've got ladies and women and involved in the club, and a club that's got a great history, and we hope's got a long time ahead. So thank you everyone for tonight. Thanks for this honour. I can't think of anything else, so that'll do. Thank you.
Well, Chris, just a couple before we let you go. There's been obviously a strong I guess, a trend through the acceptance speeches tonight, people acknowledging and recognising family, and not just direct family, families within football clubs. And, you know, to go through what you've been through at Sandhurst, and now it's all come full circle. You've got your boy leading them out next year, coaching the club. Obviously, it's such a strong family club, Sandhurst, and that's what it's built its success on, building those relationships.
Yeah, I don't think it's any... Is that on? Yep. I don't think there's any doubt that we're a family club. We have to be a family. I should have mentioned that. Sorry, Ferg. But Seb's also coaching the thirds at Mounts. And Alice retired, just to keep it level. So, yep. Look, it's a family club, and we are a family club, but I think we offer opportunity for everyone to be involved. And we've always said, years and years ago, if you ever leave for money, you can only ever leave for money. So money's never been the driving force. Someone else mentioned that early on, that they play for the love and the fun of it. And a very wise man said the other day, if you're going for a career-changing amount of money, or life-changing amount of money, good luck. But if you're talking about $30 or $40, you know, stay where you are and enjoy your mates. And the big thing is playing with your mates.
And just before I let you go, Chris, I mean, you're making a bit of a habit of this. Last year inducted into the Sandhurst Hall of Fame, this year the BFNL Hall of Fame, so you're getting quite good at these acceptance speeches. But tell us what that honour meant to you. Obviously tonight's very special, but for the club you've spent so much of your life at, to be honoured in that way must have meant a whole lot.
I did, and it was a real honour. Look, I was quite okay with receiving it. I was comfortable with the receiving, but on the night I got up there, I just couldn't talk. On the day, couldn't talk. You know, it was so it did mean this means a lot to me. The Sandhurst Hall of Fame means a lot to me too. But you know what keeps riding me is that every time I get a Hall of Fame, Brendan gets elevated, and then so I've got here, he gets elevated again. So I could just imagine Christmas this year. He's just so. So, look, as happy as I am, I know that I'm going to get ripped at Christmas. So, thank you very much for accepting me and, inducting me and accepting me. So, thanks very much.
No, well done, Chris. Congratulations, mate. Well done, mate. Good stuff. Well done. Okay, so we will take a short break to await desserts. I think they're even starting to come out. But just one final time, could we have a round of applause for all 10 of our BFNL Hall of Fame inductees? Once again, we really appreciate everyone's attention throughout the evening. It's been greatly appreciated. We're just going to ask if you can maintain that for about another 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll ensure everyone gets appropriate time to continue to catch up and talk about the good old days. Okay, then we'll recommence with our final segment of tonight's presentations. And if again I could just ask everyone to make their way back to their seats and their tables. We are at the pointy end of the evening, so I do appreciate everyone just focusing in for another, as I said, 20 minutes or so, and we'll let everyone else get on with their evening. Been an incredible night so far. Not just the 10 inductees to the Hall of Fame, and once again we congratulate everyone on their recognition tonight, but the Aussies smacking the Poms over in Perth means we're 1-0 up, 2-day test. That's brilliant as well, so I'm sure many cricket fans amongst us will be happy with that. Pretty hard to top that, but we're going to try here in the next section. And as many of you are aware, that 10 inductees to the Hall of Fame and 2 Hall of Fame members that are about to be elevated to BFNL legend status. And as we've seen from the banner as you walked in, it's a very select group, which indicates and I think showcases just how special these recognitions are, and the calibre of names that are on that banner are about to be added to brilliantly by the two we're about to announce. So without any further ado, for our first induction as a BFNL legend, I'd like to call this individual's wife, Annette, and son, Nick, to the stage to speak on behalf of Peter Moroney.
Peter Moroney, legend. In the proud history of the Golden Square Football Netball Club, few names shine brighter than Peter Moroney. An illustrious career spanning 26 seasons, Peter played 456 total games, including 368 senior appearances for Golden Square. Peter was recognised as the club's first Hall of Fame inductee and is a life member of the Golden Square Football Netball Club. Having missed finals only once in his 26 seasons, Peter achieved the ultimate success on 4 occasions. He was a premiership player in 1972, 1975, 1976 and 1979, leading the team as captain in 1972. Blessed with elite fitness and blistering speed, he was known as one of the most complete players and wingmen of his time. Peter represented the Bendigo Football Netball League 17 times and was named vice-captain of the 1972 Division 1 Championship winning team. He was also a 2-time senior best and fairest winner for Golden Square, with another 5 runner-up finishes and 4 top 5 placings in the Mickelson Medal. Peter Moroney will long be remembered as a legend of the Golden Square Football Netball Club and the Bendigo Football Netball League.
Thank you. Just like to congratulate all the other inductees tonight. Brendan for being a legend as well. I'm not very good at talking in front of a lot of people. I didn't really get to see Dad play a lot of football because I was too young, and he didn't talk about it much at home either. But after this week, through the paper, I've had quite a few people come in the shop and tell me how great of a football player he was. I was lucky enough to have Claude come in on Thursday and tell me how good he was, and he was screaming in my shop, the fleet-footed market gardener from Bendigo. $5 got rid of Claude out of the shop, and so yeah, but that's about it really. I didn't really get to see much of him play. We hung around the Golden Square Footy Club a lot when I was younger, but didn't really acknowledge how good of a player he probably was. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you and congratulations to all the other inductees, and just say that Peter just loved playing footy, whether it was where it was, so long as it at Golden Square, and he didn't mind going to training or whatever, so long as he played. So thanks very much, everybody. Good. Thank you.
I've talked you into it, Annette, thank you. No, they won't be curly. The record speaks for itself. An incredible career, an amazing legacy, and to be fair, to have a wing named after you at the footy ground in which you played so much of your footy, this is an incredible honour. I'm not sure it gets much higher than that. Dougie Hawkins once said to me, Annette, and everyone knows Dougie, obviously Whitten Oval, there's a difference between a good player and being so good they name a wing after you. So I think it says a bit about how good Peter was.
That's great, wasn't it? Yeah, he'd be so proud, and he'd be, very proud if he could have been here tonight. So it's all very good, and thanks very much.
No, my pleasure. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Annette and Nick, thanks guys. Really do appreciate it. Okay, to our final inductee as a legend of the Bendigo Football Netball League, will you join me and congratulate, put your hands together for Brendan Hartney.
Brendan Hartney, legend. Following a proud family tradition, Brendan made his senior debut for the Sandhurst Football Netball Club in 1976 at just 17 years of age. From the beginning, his courage and strong marking set him apart, qualities that soon became legendary across Bendigo and country football. Across an incredible career of 227 senior games, Brendan's impact on and off the field was profound. He led by example, serving as captain-coach in 1988 and captain again in the 1989 and 1990 seasons. Brendan holds a Sandhurst club record of 7 Best and Fairest awards, as well as 2 Mickelson medals in 1987 and 1989. He represented Bendigo on more than 20 occasions at representative level, and in 1981 took his talents to the VFL, playing 32 senior games for Carlton from 1981 to 1985. A 2-time premiership player, Sandhurst Life member and BFNL Hall of Fame inductee, Brendan's legend status is remembered as one of the club's and league's finest and most revered figures.
Thank you, everyone. Larry West told me not to talk for too long, so I won't. In case you don't know Larry, they're putting a statue at the QEO for him at the moment. So, now, when I got the call from Carol to say that she had some good news for me, this was the last thing I expected. We were in London, we were on the way back from a trip in Europe, and it was our last night. I wasn't sleeping very well anyway, and when I took the call, I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I just lay there, and I thought, wow, this is almost too big. And I got my phone out and I googled BFNL legends. Thought, who else is there? And I looked up and I saw Bob McCaskill. I thought, wow, yeah, he was just the prince of coaches, and I think he coached Sandhurst to 9 flags in the 20s and 30s. There was Reg Ford, who I think coached Sandhurst to about 8 flags, and Golden Square to their first 3 flags. There was Alan McDonald, who's a legend at South Bendigo in the 50s, coached about 4 flags. There was Tony Southcombe, one of the best players that's ever played in the Bendigo Football League. And then Ron Best, who was my first senior coach at Sandhurst and the best player I've ever seen playing country football. He was just a superstar. And I thought, I almost felt sick. I thought, geez, I don't sit here very well. But it was such an honour. And the trip home from London, I did a lot of thinking about it and thinking, well, I can't knock it back, so I'll take it. And I wondered who the other legend was going to be. And I was so glad it was Peter Moroney. Peter Moroney was a fantastic player for Golden Square over such a long period of time. At Sandhurst, we didn't like him much because he was such a great player and he was so hard to stop. And he was one of the players at Golden Square during the 70s when I think Sandhurst and Golden Square played 7 grand finals each. He was one of the first players you had to stop. We actually had a great winger as well, and his name was Alan Wills. And he won 2 or 3 best and fairest at Sandhurst, but Willsy and Peter never played on each other. They always played on opposite wings, and I always wondered about that. But both fantastic players. But Peter, it's a privilege to share this night with you. To the other 10 inductees, and I think Chris touched on that. Fantastic. I remember Gary. He was a terrific player. I played thirds with him. I played a bit of seniors against him, thirds against him. Nice bloke, very quiet, but you didn't want to stand too far in front of him. He was tough and he was hard and he was uncompromising and a fantastic player. And I had a lot of respect for him. He had a lot of bad injuries, which cut his career short. Steve McDougall, a tremendous player for Bendigo and for Eagle Hawk. One of the best going around, and I had a lot of respect for him. Then we had, we're talking about the Sandhurst connection. Rose, Danny, Kylie put in a huge amount of work at Sandhurst, and they're the sort of people that keep clubs going. Chris, what can I say about Chris that he hasn't already said about himself? A terrific player. I've got no doubt Chris lost an eye as a young bloke, and I think there's no doubt he would have played AFL if he had had both eyes. And he adjusted to that and was a fantastic player for Sandhurst, fantastic leader, tough, hard, sort of bloke you want to run out with. And he took on the coaching job when really no one else at Sandhurst would when they went amateur. So, terrific player, terrific bloke. Richard Jones, I love Richard. He used to wrap me up in the media a fair bit, so I was pretty happy with Richard. And he was a Geelong man. I held that against him a little bit, but yes. No, fantastic bloke, Richard, and passionate BFNL League advocate, which I respect a lot. Then we got the two Rod Trelfel. Rod and Ron were the two best umpires in my time. Always. Well, they didn't give me much of a go, but they were fantastic, fair umpires who are great blokes as well. I see Rod especially a lot. Matt Aston, one of the best players that played in BFNL League. Absolutely fantastic. And then I come to Luke Saunders, and I don't think I've seen a better player in the last 25 years than Luke Saunders. He was just a sensational player for Gisborne. We couldn't stop him at Sandhurst. You just had to allow him that he was going to kick 6 goals. So, a lot of respect for Luke. He was fantastic. My time at Sandhurst, if I go longer than 3 minutes, you let me know. Sandhurst has been in my life, and the QEO. We grew up at the QEO. My dad played at Sandhurst. My uncles played at Sandhurst. Shane, my brother, played at Sandhurst. My brother-in-laws, Chris and Kevin, played at Sandhurst. My sisters, Anne and Frances, who are here, played netball when Sandhurst first started the netball. I'm very proud. Tom and George both played football at Sandhurst. I've got nieces and nephews who are still playing at Sandhurst or have played at Sandhurst. I've got a daughter, Lucy, who didn't play at Sandhurst but spent a lot of time in the peppercorn trees at the QEO, if that counts. And Courtney and Anthony here tonight. It's lovely to have you here too. So, family it's nice to win flags and win premierships, but it's so good to have family. As part of your life. And when I first won this award, I said, Devlin, I'm not going to tell anyone. We'll just turn up and go, and then don't tell the kids, don't tell anyone. And they found out, and they all came, which I was really pleased about too. What else am I going to say? Sandhurst, I played in 2 flags. I was fortunate, played when I was young, 19, when we won a couple of flags, both against Golden Square, which was nice. Then we went for a long time without really, we're up and about a lot. I know we won in 81 and 83, but I wasn't there then. And then when I came back, we were always competitive, but never quite at the mark. And I think by the 1990, Sandhurst was in dire straits, actually. We were close to folding, and I know Shane had a lot of involvement there. And we went amateur, and Chris became coach. And we played 2 years as amateur. No one believed we were amateur, but we were, because I didn't get paid anyway. So, and probably the 2 of the most enjoyable years of my footy, actually, where everyone ran out together. We're all on the one page, and no one was getting paid. No one knew that, someone was on $5,000 or something a game. So that was fantastic. And I finished my career basically in 93. We came runners up to South Bendigo, who were a sensational side. And we'd come from being amateur to finishing 7th to playing in a grand final, and that was as good of achievement as I've had at Sandhurst, actually. So that was a real highlight. I think interleague was a big part of my life. I always wanted to play interleague. My dad took me to interleague games when I was young. And I thought that was probably the pinnacle of footy for me. I didn't have any aspirations going to Melbourne or doing anything like that. So in 1979, we played off in the interleague grand final against Latrobe Valley and got smashed on the QEO. And then when I first came back from Carlton, I had Dennis Higgins coaching interleague. It was fantastic. In 1988, Neville Strosh took over, who was a wonderful person, the late, great Neville. And he took over, and he moulded the Bendigo side into a fantastic team. I think we had 12 blokes play for 3 years in a row. So the basis of the side was there. And he was just so thorough. We trained at Kyneton, we trained at Castlemaine. He wanted to include the country clubs, which he did. And it was just an honour to play under Neville. And straight away, he picked players that wanted to play for Bendigo. And he didn't pick the best players, he just picked players that wanted to play. And he gave everyone an opportunity. And the results were there. In 1989, we travelled over to the Goulburn Valley. We travelled to Lavington. We beat the Ovens and Murray, and we beat the Goulburn Valley. Then we had Geelong on the QEO in the grand final. And actually, we beat them pretty easily. Won by 41 points, I think. And that was probably the pinnacle of my life. A lot of those people are still here. I noticed in the Hall of Fame booklet, I think there's 10 people from that squad who are Hall of Famers now. So Bert, Andy McDougall, you must be getting close, because it just shows how important it was that those players who were regular Bendigo players just wanted to play and became Hall of Famers. So that's a really satisfying thing. Well, I just want to finish on the note that I noticed that Bendigo's playing the Ovens and Murray next year. I think that's fantastic. I think the board's done a wonderful job organising that. Tonight's been fantastic too, of course. But to be back playing the Ovens and Murray on the QEO, and there's a few doomsdays out there say, oh wow, we're going to get smashed. Bendigo won't get smashed. We'll have a good side, and I'm totally convinced that we'll be much more than competitive. I know in my time we played against the Ovens and Murray 3 times. Each time we were considered rank underdogs. Each time we beat them. They're definitely beatable. They call them the powerful Ovens and Murray for some reason. I don't know why. They're just the Ovens and Murray. And the Goulburn Valley are the same. They're top leagues, but Bendigo can actually beat them. And I'm pretty confident that Bendigo on the QO next year will beat the Ovens and Murray. Just want to finish on that. Let's get behind the board. I think I missed the grand final this year. I was in Poland actually, and watched the first half, and then the screen went blank. So I'm assuming Sanders won. I'm not. We were 4 goals up when it went off. There was a Russian drone went over, and I'm sure it knocked out the satellite, so we didn't see the second half. But I looked at it last night. I said, in the Bendigo League, last 5 completed seasons, there's been 5 different winners. I think that's fantastic for the Bendigo League. We've got South Bendigo and Castlemaine who are on the up. Kangaroo Flat are taking small steps forward under Tyrone Downey. I think he's a terrific coach. And we've got Broadford coming in next year. I think it should be a fantastic league next year. I'm looking forward to heading up the QEO and watching that. I'm only a QEO man, so I don't go to too many other games, but that should be fantastic. Thanks for listening to me. Thank you.
Well, mate, congratulations. I must admit, I've over the last couple of weeks done a little bit more reading up on your footy. I knew you well through cricket circles, and must admit when I saw your name I got a bit of a shiver, because I think you used to get me out for fun, Spring Gully United. I know you're very passionate about United Cricket Club, but let's focus on the footy, and I think you even touched on it, Sandhurst. It clearly strikes me as a club, once it drags you in, it's very hard to get out. The families, the friendships, the camaraderie, and the success, which is a bonus, but it just strikes me as a club that means a hell of a lot to a lot of people, including yourself.
Yeah, I think, it's not just Sandhurst. I think all of us here belong to clubs, and we all realise that they're so important, and everyone's got a club that's got family involved, and I think we've got to respect that too. It's just terrific to get your family involved in a club, but 7 or 8, 9, 10 clubs have all the same, all trying each week, all got volunteers trying to raise money and get their sides out there. But Sandhurst, it's because it's special to me, because my family's involved there. But we've got a fantastic president, Marco Farrell, and they do a terrific job. I mean, I turn up and watch, and I think this is amazing how many people they've got working and got things going. Yeah.
And your passion for the Interleague speaks for itself. And you talk about Bendigo being underdogs. I think we even saw it this year. They played up against the VAFA and went to extra time. It was one of the best games of footy I've had the pleasure of seeing. If you were sending a message out to players in the BFNL next season that were sort of umming and ahhing, do I want to go and risk it? I might be on some good money at my club, but the memories you get from it last a lifetime. Clearly they've resonated with you.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's a great way of meeting players from other clubs, and you have a lot more respect for those players after playing with them. And I know Bert and I used to have a few battles playing Sanderson and Eagle Hawk, but I actually worked out he wasn't too bad a bloke after a while, so that can happen. It's just an enjoyable time to mix with the best of the best. And I think when you're playing interleague, there's not pressure on you as an individual to perform as much. When you're playing with your own club, people expected you to be one of their best players all the time. You can go out and just play in the interleague and enjoy playing and just give it your best shot, and no one's expecting you to be best on the ground and doing all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Well, 30 years since you were inducted in the Hall of Fame. They've made you wait, but well worth the wait. Congratulations on being elevated as a legend, Brendan. Congratulations. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the official proceedings for this evening. Once again, we want to thank everyone for attending. We'd like to just quickly acknowledge the staff here at the All Seasons Hotel, if we could give them a round of applause, both behind the bar and the food coming out of the kitchen. Once again to Tom King and the BFNL, the organising committee who've put together tonight. I think you'll all agree they've done a fantastic job, so quick round of applause for them as well. And clearly the stars of the show tonight, our Hall of Fame inductees, our two legends being elevated. One last round of applause for them as well. So as I said, that's the end of the official proceedings tonight. Enjoy the rest of the evening, catching up with friends and foes from years gone by. Safe travels home, and we look forward to seeing everyone back for round one of the 2026 BFNL season. Thank you.